good friend, Pastor Ann Jimenez, is the titan of the faith. She says she was, quote, born to preach, even though she nearly wasn't born at all.
If abortions had been legal in the 1930s, Dr. Ann Jimenez never would have seen the light of day. Instead, her arrival marked the beginning of a life of miracles. Pastor Ann was ordained as a preacher at the age of 19. Then she traveled extensively as an evangelist before marrying the late John Jimenez. Together, they founded one of the fastest-growing churches in America, the Rock Church International in Virginia Beach, Virginia. They also birthed the Washington for Jesus rallies, a national event, and continued the ministry after John's death. Then in 2010, her life almost ended when she became extremely ill.
Well, please welcome back to the 700 Club our dear friend, the pastor of one of the largest churches in our area, Ann Jimenez. Hey, it's good to see you.
Thank you, Pat. What a pleasure to be here today.
Hey, you look so good. You almost died. What happened to you?
Pat, a year ago, I collapsed and was unconscious 15 days. Never had any warning, no pain, nothing. And I was unconscious 15 days. They rushed me to the hospital in Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
I'd been on a retreat with all of our pastors. I don't remember the retreat. I was in trouble, but I didn't know it. And rushed me in the middle of the night to a hospital. In fact, I told Robin, she had taken me to my cousin's house, and I said, go get your daddy. Well, John had been gone 2 years, and she said, well, Mother, Daddy's not here. I said, yes, he is. He just went down the hallway. She told me, I said, Robin, when I was seeing the dead, you knew I was in trouble.
Yeah.
And they rushed me to the hospital, Pat, and by the time Robin could sign my name and get back there, they'd slap me with paddles and begin to tell her, your mother will not live this night. And she said, you don't know my mother. She will live. Yeah. Pat, they called her in that hospital for 15 days. They called her the troublemaker. The troublemaker. I have to tell you this, and I know you know Dr. Crandall from Palm Beach, Florida.
Friend, yeah.
A nurse told Robin and every night they would tell her that, and God just kept bringing me through. And I had total organ shutdown.
Yeah.
Pat, I was on every machine they could put on me and was on life support. And of course they said, your mother, people don't come back from this. I was right at, my heart was 10%. My kidneys didn't function. My liver stopped functioning. They were breathing for me, everything, and said, she can't come back. People don't come back from this. And she said, my mother will live. She will not die. And one day, as I was unconscious, a doctor came in and was talking, and Robin said, come over to the doorway with me just a minute. This is my daughter. Yeah. She said, do you see that line right there on the threshold? She said, don't you ever step over that again. She said, I will not have you in my mother's room saying she's going to die. She might can hear you, and I'm not going to let you say that. And she threw him out. Then later she went to down to the nurse. She said, I want to know who the head doctor is. They said, well, you were talking to him a little while ago.
She threw it to the head doctor?
My head doctor out. Said, don't ever come back in this room.
Were they trying to starve you and let you just die?
Pat, I realized later, she medevaced me after I was unconscious 15 days, and I was there 2 weeks. She heard the nurse. She said, well, you seem to have such faith. She said, there's something else wonderful happened in this hospital.
Yeah.
She said, what are you talking about? She said, well, there's a Dr. Crandall here, and he prayed for a man, and he was dead from a heart attack, and he came back to life. Robin said, do you mean he's in this hospital? And she went and found Dr. Crandall. Well, of course, quickly the connection was made between Gordon and Dr. Crandall and, you and all of us. And he came, and he told Robin, of course, I was coming out of the coma, 15, but he told Robin, he prayed, and he said, your mother won't die. This was Dr. Crandall. As you know the story, he prayed for a man that had been dead, 40 minutes or something.
He was on the show with the man,
Yes. And he said, your mother won't die. She's going to live. Well, after a few weeks, because they could never tell me why this happened, and Robin medevaced me to Dallas Presbyterian. They ran every test imaginable for 2 days, nuclear, everything. Pat, I'll never forget, how the doctors come in late at night, and this team of doctors, they'd been set up, and they came in, and he leaned and looked at me through the bars of the hospital bed. He looked at me, and I wish I'd had a tape recorder. He said, my God, woman, eat. And if I'd had a tape recorder, I would have said, say it again. He said, eat. He said, you have been pushed to the brink of starvation. Pat, I personally believe for the 15 days, they might have given me fluids. I believe it was age discrimination. They were so positive I would die every night. I don't believe they fed. They keep people alive for years. They didn't give me nourishment. They probably gave me fluids. They didn't give me nourishment. And when I woke up after 15 days, the second day, I said to my daughter, finally, I said, Robin, am I paralyzed? I had no clue. I had no point of reference where I was or why I was there. I didn't know what had happened. In fact, I didn't know if I was hallucinating about being in a hospital. I thought it was a dream. And she said, Mother, you're not paralyzed. Why? I said, all I can do is turn my head. And Pat, later, looking back, I realized I had suffered such debilitation, I guess you say, in my muscles. I'd lost all muscle strength. All that was left after 15 days of not moving. They never turned me. They never moved me. They said, she'll die. She's dying.
That's awful.
I could only turn my head. I couldn't reach up. They'd put food in front of me and they'd take it away. I wonder why they never came with food. Obviously, they put it in front of you every day. I didn't know it, and I couldn't even get my hands up to get my hand on a coffee cup, if they finally got a fork in, I would try to push my food on. I've seen old people eat that way. Push the food, try to get it, up to my mouth.
Well, you're a living miracle.
I am a pure miracle.
Yeah.
And Pat, not only once did I almost die, the leading heart doctor at Presbyterian Hospital, over the Presbyterian Hospitals in Dallas, was my doctor. And when I was going, they wanted me to stay in the area about a week after I came in the hospital just to make sure I was stable. And so I began visiting my key doctors, getting them checked out. When I went to the heart doctor, he said, well, why isn't she taking such and such a medicine? Robin said, well, her blood pressure is fine. He said, oh, no, this is one of the most important things she takes. He said, you need it twice a day. In fact, you need it right now. And he sent the nurse to get a cup of water. He said, you take one now, you take one, you take it twice a day. Pat, by 2 days later, I couldn't hardly wake up. I couldn't hardly move. And Robin said, I'm not going to do this again. She said, I'll call an ambulance right now. I thought she was mad at me. I remember. I said, I just can't move. So she got me. We have a friend in Dallas that got me to another heart doctor. And he has a machine that's new that literally they do a scan of your heart and then put you in front of a computer. And he said, I can see everything an autopsy can see. And that computer opens your heart up. He could see every chamber. And I remember he said, when this chamber's vibrating, you've had a stroke. When this chamber's vibrating, you've had a heart attack. When all four of them are vibrating, a virus is, and I can see them all four. They're just vibrating. He said, he's the first one that diagnosed me correctly. A virus hit your heart. And he told them later, he said, 3 more days and you wouldn't be able to wake your mother up. He said, your doctor gave her a double dose daily of heart medicine that slowed her heart down. When I went to see him, he said, she's so full of fluid, not only her body cavity, every organ is so full of fluid, I've got to get 15 pounds of water off of her in 2 days. He said, you're filling up inside. Well, 2 more days, you wouldn't wake up.
First of all, they think you're going to die and starve you, and then they got misdiagnosis and gives you a pill.
He almost killed me.
Almost killed you.
And then I had pneumonia that they misdiagnosed.
Dear Lord.
And
what a
Pat,
story.
I'm going to tell you what a minister told me. He said, Pastor Ann, the devil tried to kill you.
Yes.
And he didn't. That means he couldn't. Pat, I am a firm believer. You and I and those that are watching, we know the Lord. Our days are numbered, and our days are in God's hands. And the enemy cannot take you out when your life is hidden in Christ Jesus.
I love it. Hey, her book called Born to Preach, a fabulous story of a little girl from Texas who married this ex-drug addict, John Jimenez, went on to found the Rock Church, dear friend. You all have been here for how many years?
Pat, we've been in this area about 42 years.
42 years.
We came here because before we were ever married, John met you in London.
That's right.
And when we were married, we'd just been married a few months, he said, we were evangelists. He said, you know, Pat Robertson told me if I was ever on the East Coast to come and be on the 700 Club. You were over in Portsmouth.
That's
in the little tiny, and I know you're getting ready to celebrate a big anniversary.
50 years.
But I knew you when. I knew you when. And I remember coming through those glass doors down there, and John and I would be on the 700 Club, and, you know, there were times we would just go past time, and God would start moving and pouring out His Spirit. We'd just sing, and we had a song. We sang, "The Devil's Mad and I'm Glad."
Well, you had those tambourines.
I had a big one.
It was a blast. Well, Ann, I know people want to love this book, Born to Preach. I mean, it is a moving story of faith. And this lady sitting here is a miracle. I know because I was there seeing what happened. And I loved her husband. And we did Washington for Jesus. It was 500,000 or so people. It changed the course of America, the prayer.
Pat, I thought the other day in my life, probably the biggest leap of faith I have ever taken was marrying John Jimenez.
Oh, I believe it.
Pat, he had only been clean. I'd known him 3.5 years. Because I'd been an evangelist 3.5 years before I ever met John and married him. I knew him 2.5 years before I married him. And you know the stories in the book that he was in New York in trouble. And I went and picked him up, took him back to David Miner's house, and left to go to a meeting and thought, I don't ever want to see that person again. And he called me in the middle of the night. I was at Elam Bible School, and he said, please come get me. I'm in New York. I'm in trouble. I got a young man to get in the car with me. We drove all night. Another ex-addict. I was hoping he was ex. We went to drove up and down Fox Street, you know, Westchester, and I'm sitting there, we're looking, I don't know where we're going to find a needle in a haystack. And I stopped, had to put and stopped suddenly at a red light, and we're just talking, where are we going to find you? And I see this shadowy figure coming across, staggering kind of category, and so he got right by me, and I'm getting ready.
And that was him?
It was John. And this boy with me, he jumped up, threw him in the back seat, and we took off. Pat, that was sovereign. If he had crossed, he had just woke up from an overdose.
Good heavens.
If we hadn't found him. And on the way to Brother Miner's, he's crazy out of his head. He said, when are we going to get married, babe? And I'm thinking, shut up. I'm just driving and driving. And he keeps it up. When are we going to, you know I love you. And I'm saying, yeah. And he said, when are we going to get married? Just to get him to go to sleep and hush. I said, in about a month. And we kept driving. Pat, that was August the 1st.
And a month later, you
I married that man.
You're kidding.
September the 1st. The story's in the book. The biggest leap of faith I've ever taken in my life. And it was a miracle. And I tell him there about how God told me, gave me 3 promises. Open my Bible. I don't tell him, it's open and pointed. But I opened my Bible and I said, God, you got to talk to me. There was a man sent from God. His name was John. And I closed it up and I said, well, that was just coincidence. So I said, all right, Lord, I need a word from you. I opened it up, put my finger on it, and it said, that which I've cleansed, that call thou not common. I slammed it to Pat, I knew I was 34 years old when I got married. I had put everything on the line, my family, my boyfriend, I wanted to serve God, and I wanted to be clean. I wanted to live my life for God. And I knew if I married John Jimenez and it wasn't God, I was throwing away everything that I had made every sacrifice for. I put it together and I thought, all right, God, one more time. I opened my Bible up before God. I put my finger on the scripture where Mordecai said to Esther, who knows but what you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And that's the story. It's all in the book.
Born to Preach. Where do you get the book?
They can get it at rockchurch.org. They can go to my new website, www.annjimenez.com. And they get it at all their favorite bookstores.
All right. Born to Preach. Ann Jimenez. God bless you.
Thank you,
I thank God for what you're doing. A miracle lady with a miracle marriage to a dear friend. It was an extraordinary experience.